soft elevator music playing or something.
Homer, you got any elevator music you can play?
Ashley says we're ready. All right. Well, then we will go ahead and call our regular board meeting for January 20th, 2022 to order. Mr. Myrick, would you mind opening us in a word of prayer?
Sure. Father, we're so thankful for this day, so thankful for this county. We just ask that we have these agenda items, business for our children, our employees, people of this county. We just ask that give us the knowledge to make the right decisions. And we just ask that everything that we do on this table be pleasing unto you. We ask all these things in the precious name.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I want to thank everyone for being here with us tonight. I think I reached out to Chaz earlier, and there are some letters of commendation.
I was just going to do the presentation. I just was trying to surprise you.
Wonderful. Well, then we don't have any, so we'll move on. Yeah. All right. So we have minutes that we need to approve from our December 7th meeting. If I could get a motion and a second to approve the minutes.
So moved.
All right. We have a motion by Mr. Stewart and a second by Mr. Myrick. Is there any discussion on those minutes? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay. We don't have anyone that has signed up to speak tonight. Is there anyone here who would like to speak and didn't get an opportunity? Do you want to? Sure. While you're coming up, just to go ahead and if you want to make your way on up to the microphone, just a reminder, we give everyone 3 minutes to address the board. The timer will be on the screen, or on the TV screens behind us and next to you. And then if you'll just, because I don't have your name here, if you'll give us your name.
Yeah, I'm Pat Lieb. I'm the one who came in November, I think, and spoke about the traffic at Robertsville Elementary. And I understand you've all been working on that. So, and I talked to the principal at length, and we have solutions, of course, in having 2 paved lines for traffic from the trade school north, or to buy the land across the street for parking, and for delivery of students. The one that's probably going to be a subdivision soon. But another big question is the HVAC system at the elementary school. It runs 24/7. The rain cap, I think, should be pressure activated, but it's not, and it makes a lot of noise in the neighborhood, and just it's been doing this for years. And people come out and do a fix, but they don't really solve the problem. They'll go away and the noise comes back. It's really loud, and the noise is very disturbing. Most of us on the west end of the subdivision, Oak Hill Crest, can hear the noise, and it's disturbing. So I'm just curious if anyone's been addressing that, or if it's just with the contractor.
Right.
Were you referring to the flap? Are you referring to the generator?
Yeah, on the generator on the top, there's a rain cap. Yeah, there's that flap on the top. The rain.
If it's the generator, that's going to be your auxiliary secondary power. If the school actually loses power,
Right.
It doesn't run 24/7.
Right.
It may exercise, and I can see what day it exercises. We only exercise probably 15 to 30 minutes. If the generator is running, I know a month ago we had a problem where it stayed on for a couple of days. That was it. And the B&G, what they'll do is when that generator comes on like that, it exercises. The reason it exercises is to make sure everything comes on like it's supposed to if we do have a blackout or a power failure. So with that being said, I think it happened on the weekend and nobody was there to know it was running. So when he got there the next morning, he said, hey, it's still running. So the generator's been addressed.
The last thing is on time, buffer around the system.
Okay, now that's gonna be your chiller, and that's gonna be for the chiller is what's cools the building. We have had the factory come out, and there's nothing we can do about that. Eventually, if we have to replace the chiller, hopefully the next one will be quieter, but I can't promise that also. And unfortunately, it sits on that incline a little bit on a hill, so I've talked to them, if we raise the, fence around it, it's still not gonna do anything. There was the issue of you could actually go and you could actually put a blanket on the chillers. That was like a $15,000 option, and they couldn't promise us anything. So there really is no solution. But what we have done, and I hope you have noticed, is there's 2 chillers. It doesn't take both of them unless it's a full load. When I say full load, if the building's occupied and it is hot, that's when both chillers run. So one of the chillers is louder than the other one. And remotely, through our Siemens control, that chiller does not run unless it's on one of those really, really hot days. So all you should have running, and like tonight, the chiller won't be running, it's cold. So that, it shuts off. And we've been shutting them off at night because there's no load on the building. So you shouldn't have during the day you're gonna hear it, because it's fully occupied. But at night you shouldn't be hearing it. If you do, you just need to reach back out to me and let me know. But we have, the only time the louder chiller, per se, run is if there's a problem or something with the primary chiller, because they come on.
No way to buffer.
No, ma'am, we've looked at all that a couple of years ago. No, ma'am, we've looked at all that.
Thank you, Ms. Lee, and thank you for your patience on the traffic. We're working on that. Thank you.
Then we will go ahead and move on to our amendments.
Yes, ma'am. Amendments to the agenda. Delete number 7, approval of agreement Howard EDU Technology Services. Amend number 3, proposed 2022-2023 school calendar options. Number 8, leave of absence of personnel. Number 9, retirement and resignation of personnel. Number 11, employment of personnel. Number 12, extra work for extended periods. Add number 14, approval of new position, occupational health registered nurse. Number 15, teams contracts.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Mrs. Dawson and a second by Miss Lindsay. I drew a blank there for a minute.
I understand. It can happen.
Is there any discussion? All right, all of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Agenda item 1, budget amendment number 1, FY 2022. Superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to authorize the superintendent and board president to approve and submit the appropriate 2021-2022 budget amendment to the State Department of Education in order to meet the requirements of the Code of Alabama as stipulated in the agenda exhibit.
I have a motion by Mr. Johnson and a second by Mrs. Lindsay. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed?
Agenda item 2, OE proposal. Superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the contract with Sawgrass Consulting LLC for engineering services for various projects as stipulated in the agenda exhibit.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Dawson and a second by Mr. Stewart. Are there any questions? Okay, I have one. I know that the resurfacing is being done in at various schools throughout the county. And I guess let me pull it up here so I am not saying the wrong thing. I was looking and noticed that they're doing the surveys, the design. It seems like, isn't that repetitive?
I think it's what it's listed, that's for every project, that's just a lump sum for each one.
Okay. So they're not going over and redoing a whole design project. You know, it's like, we're not.
Well, actually, I mean,
So like the topo is for one school.
Well, and I understand that a little bit, you know, just because obviously paving the parking lot at Spanish Fort's way different than paving a parking lot at, say, Orange Beach. But where the design and all of it just seemed like that's repetitive, and if we're paying for the same design at different, I don't know. Maybe I just answered my own question.
We made modifications.
Okay.
Because unfortunately, when we did it, when it was constructed back 20 years ago, 30 years, it's not ideal. Like the Loxley satellite office, we're having to address that. I mean, that's one of the issues. J. Larry Newton, the west parking lot, it's never drained. So we
Oh,
have to
okay.
basically stop for. So it's more than just the easy ones or the quick ones, like
Okay, sure.
During Christmas, bam. it's
Bam,
done.
okay.
But having to do all the other stuff, just,
Sure.
just to
That makes
just
sense.
to get water off of the parking lot.
Sure, thank you. Thank you. All right, sorry. Any other questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes.
Agenda item 3, proposed 2022-2023 school calendar options. Superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the dissemination of the 3 proposed school calendar options to local schools and organizations for input as amended and stipulated in the agenda exhibit.
And I guess I didn't look at it this close to try and figure out, but is Baldwin County still using hours equivalent, or have we switched? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Any other questions?
Make a
Wait,
mo-
do we have a motion in a
No.
second? Sorry. I skipped.
I'll make the motion.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Stewart and a second by Mr. Johnson. Any other questions? All right, all in favor of disseminating the calendars signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Agenda item 4, donation of land to the Crossroads Volunteer Fire Department. The superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to authorize the superintendent to deed 2.1 acres to Crossroads Volunteer Fire Department for their use as depicted in the attached, with deed to be approved by staff before transfer as stipulated herein.
I have a motion by Mr. Johnson and a second by Mrs. Lindsay. This was the other item I had a question on, so I'll go ahead. I think this is a wonderful idea, and I'm happy for the volunteer fire department to receive this land. My question was on the map. It looks to me like their helicopter pad is not on our property. Is that the case? And then what happens there?
You can see on the pink,
Mhm.
there's a little sliver over there, so we can give them right away
Mhm.
on the Crossroads to get to the helicopter pad. That's on. I think they actually own that property.
So
It was an addition.
So there's not going to be a problem that helicopter pad is not on their property that we donate to them.
Yeah, I think they own it
Okay,
currently
gotcha,
right now. They're just
gotcha.
leasing.
Okay. That was
piece.
my only question when I saw that. I thought, uh-oh. Any other questions?
And so we had a church, and we had some other people asking about leasing the building, and I was like, "How about you guys buy it, so then we don't have to maintain it and do the maintenance?" So anyway, we're going to do a very similar process that we did with the Hvac Bay School, and that we'll try to have a kind of open auction process and see where we go from there.
Great. Thank you.
Yes,
Are there any other questions? All right. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item 5, sale of Crossroads School. Superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to authorize the superintendent to proceed with the advertisement and taking of sealed bids for the potential sale of 1.33 acres along with the old school buildings as depicted and stipulated in the agenda exhibit.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Stewart and a second by Mrs. Dawson. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item 6, approval of partnership and membership with Southwest Alabama Workforce Development Council. The superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the partnership with SAW DC for the 2021-2022 school year to be paid from system funds as stipulated in the agenda exhibit.
Second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Lindsay and a second by Mrs. Dawson. Is there any question? Any discussion? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item 7, approval of agreement. Yes, I'm sorry. Thank you,
No.
Ms. Collins.
Yeah, it's not just.
Oh, okay.
Nothing.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Louise.
Thank y'all for keeping me in
I
check.
know.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, I thought we were deleting that one. Okay.
We got one with it.
I was gonna say, what are we doing with this?
Pay attention, Homer. Agenda item 7, approval of agreement CMA Technology Solutions. The superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the service agreement with CMA Technology Solutions for Arctic Wolf service in the amount of $304,185 annually to be funded from ESSER 3 funds as stipulated in the agenda exhibit.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Myrick and a second by, who wants it? Mr. Johnson. All right. Are there any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item 8, leave of absence of personnel. The superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the leave of absence of personnel as amended and provided to board members under separate cover.
Second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Lindsay and a second by Mrs. Dawson. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion passes.
Agenda item 9, retirement and resignations of personnel. Superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the retirement and resignation of personnel as amended and provided to board members under separate cover.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Myrick and a second by Mr. Johnson. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item 10, transfer intent to transfer of personnel. Superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the transfer intent to transfer of personnel as provided to board members under separate cover.
I have a motion by Mrs. Lindsay and a second by Mr. Johnson. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item 11, employment of personnel. Superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the employment of personnel as amended and provided to board members under separate cover.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mrs. Dawson and a second by Mr. Myrick. Is there any discussion? And all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Andrea is going to abstain from this one. So, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes.
Agenda item 12, extra work for extended periods. The superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the extra work of personnel as amended and provided to board members under separate cover.
I have a motion by Mrs. Lindsay and a second by Mr. Johnson. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item 13, 2021-2022 revised extra work wages. Superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the revised extra work wages as stipulated in the agenda exhibit.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Dawson and a second by Mr. Stewart. Are there any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item 14, approval of new position, occupational health registered nurse. Superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the new position of occupational health registered nurse as stipulated in the agenda exhibit.
I have a motion by Mr. Johnson and a second by Mrs. Lindsay. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes.
Agenda item 15, Teams contract. The superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the Teams teachers' contracts and contract terms as listed, and to authorize and direct the superintendent to take all necessary actions in furtherance thereof as stipulated in the agenda exhibit.
I have a motion by Mrs. Lindsay and a second by Mr. Myrick. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes.
That's all I have, Ms. Colley.
I don't think there's anything. Does anybody have anything?
I just will say that Tiffany will be addressing Foley Rotary tomorrow about the programs HR has, especially on scholarships and our partnerships, I think. Am I correct, with the universities and stuff? She presented this one time at a small meeting in Foley last week, and so well received, and they were so complimentary of everything that she did, and it was wonderful. And so she is presenting again tomorrow at Rotary. So she and I will have lunch at Wolf Bay Lodge.
Woo-woo.
Yes, I'll be glad. Yes, certainly. Well, you can come. Yes, you can. Yeah, I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you. Mr. Superintendent, you could come too if you'd like to have lunch at Wolf Bay Lodge.
Are there any questions from the media? All right. Then if there's nothing else, I want to thank Lauren again for being here with us this evening. I'm so glad things went smooth. There's no telling. But with that, I guess I need a motion and a second to adjourn, please. All right. We're adjourned.
All right.